which will result in quite a bit of visual loss in the first, second, and third decades of life. So you fall into this very small group that this sort of outlier group that is where the onset is very, very late. The symptomatic onset is later, and the disease progresses very, very slowly, never to the point of blindness, however you define. So patients do very, very well, and we've actually been recently analyzing this very specific patients, and we've been finding a few different factors in the DNA that actually give rise to this very mild variant, and all of this is not published. It's just straight out of the lab, and again, it was literally a few months ago that we began to understand this, and the reason Dr. Sang thinks.
And you're doing the research here.
Yes, this comes from the lab here.
Okay.
So, so Dr. Sang, the reason I think many retina specialists in the past have been sort of bouncing back and forth between some Stargardt disease and another condition called pattern dystrophy is because your condition is so mild, and it's very unusual for Stargardt disease. But now again, there's about 30% of Stargardt disease patients, which many of which are actually misdiagnosed, all over the world. And it turns out that these patients actually have this variant of Stargardt disease, and we're beginning to understand what the reason is for this very mild expression of the disease. So, the test that Dr. Sang wants to do is a test that could help us differentiate, just to be sure, that you don't have something called pattern dystrophy, this other disease. But other than that, it's good news for a few reasons. Stargardt disease is actually the more severe of the other retina dystrophies that you could have that were on the differential diagnosis list, but those other conditions are much more rare, and there isn't any treatment that right now that's being investigated for those conditions. Stargardt disease is one for which there's a lot of treatment right now that's in the pipeline, right? So there is no silver bullet at the moment. So silver bullet is actually a term that I think most people in medicine are uncomfortable with.
I know.
But
everything before, nobody said just eat lots of oxidants, stay out of the sun, it's only going to get worse. But so you're saying there's, granted, silver bullets.
Right. Yeah. No, there are bullets. Right. So there are a few different copper bullets. Let's say that. Right. So there is a drug right now for Stargardt disease that's supposed to stop the progression of the disease. And
really?
Yeah. That's in phase 2 already. So that's actually unprecedented. Right. That's like a very it's a big. It's quite far along.
Okay.
Phase 2, unfortunately, is.
I'm recording this, by the way.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Because there's a lot of information you're giving me here.
Of course. Yeah. No. Yeah.
And it helps me to be able to review it, and also when I try and share it with my wife or anybody, this will be fantastic.
Yeah. No. I'm glad. If you have any questions, just feel free to call.
I just wanted you to know that.
That's fine. Yeah. Okay.
So I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. So there is a clinical trial that's in phase 2 right now, and phase 2 is a very critical phase for most drugs. It's the drug. It's usually I think it's colloquially referred to as the valley of death for drugs. So it's one that it's a huge hump. Most drugs actually are eliminated from
in phase 2?
The pool, yeah. So phase 2 is quite important. Phase 2B, so which is the stage that this drug is in right now, and it's already been a year now since they've enrolled the first patients. The first ones were enrolled at Johns Hopkins, and we're also a clinical site. The drug was actually developed here by an organic chemist, and so the technology comes from Columbia, but it's developed by a company in Boston. And so there are a lot of different sites around the United States. Obviously, again, we're one of them. So if you'd like to, even though your disease progression is quite slow, so that may be something that would exclude you from being a participant in the study, which is actually fine because it just means that you wouldn't be someone who would test the drug, right? So once the drug is approved, then everyone takes the drug. So I don't know if that's something that you were interested in inquiring about. It's enrolling in a trial, does require some. It's a commitment. You'll be given. It's a double-blind trial, so there's a placebo that's randomized in the cohort, but the trial is ongoing, and just from looking at the retina, the type of disease the type of disease that is analyzable by the FDA, you seem to fit the criteria. The only reason you would be excluded by the FDA is because the rate of change for you is so slow that we wouldn't be able to measure it significantly within the time period that they have. So, we wouldn't know if your condition progressed or not, right? So that's very important. So, what they're prioritizing more the fast progressors, ones who have the more severe variant disease, who we know should be progressing within a year's time. And if they don't, then and then they're having another drug, and that's a data point that would help. So, if you're interested, I could have the coordinator of the trial contact you, and if you have any questions about that, then you could talk to her, and then I think there will be like a screening visit, and there probably won't be a screening visit. There will if you fit the preliminary criteria, I think there will be a site visit where you come back here. You obviously, do you live close by or?
Yes.
Okay, so this is probably, if you wanted to do that, this would be the site to do it. And she'll tell you more about the drug. The drug is actually it's a modified form of vitamin A, which is something I know that you've been told to stay away from. But it's actually the type of vitamin A that would be good for you and good for the condition. So it addresses, it actually does away with the toxic component of vitamin A accumulation in the retina. So it's a very scientifically sound method approach, and it's very promising. So we're hoping it works out. And so that's that. And then we think we might know why your condition is very slow. We don't know for sure yet. It has something to do with the expression of a promoter region that's in your DNA. So promoter regions are just areas that they're regions of the DNA that attract a protein to express the gene. And patients with mutations. Patients with certain mutations that don't knock the protein out. So if a mutation knocks out the protein completely, if it makes the protein completely dysfunctional, then it doesn't matter if we make more of it, right? But so with Stargardt disease, the problem is that we don't have enough of this protein. But there are certain mutations that give us a semi-functional product, but just because it's so weak and slow, we don't have enough of this. So one way for this to be remedied naturally in the body is if the promoter region is activated a bit more strongly to produce more of this gene. So we think this is what's going on in patients with the slower, more mild variant Stargardt. So we're actually confirming that. So I mean, what does that mean for you? That just means we know why your variant Stargardt disease is so slow, which is a good thing, obviously, right? So it's not something that would ever you would never go blind from this variant of Stargardt disease.
No, but there's a point at which I'm questioning how much I can drive.
Yeah.
And my reading is getting worse.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough when I can't read.
Yeah, that's I understand, and
I'm an artist, and I'm already like, it's interesting. When I can see, I go to the museums and I go like, I can't see like I used to see.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's it won't get too much worse. We've been studying the natural history of this variant for quite a while, and things don't get progressively worse after 30s, 40s or so. I mean, the changes that you will notice won't really reflect how much things have changed structurally. So don't.
Well, that's one thing. Now, my right eye is pretty crapped out. I couldn't recognize your.
I can't see things that are here, right over here, but you probably see my hand, right?
Yeah, you're completely distorted. I mean, whatever I look at something, it's distorted. I mean, it's not like there's a hole there the way that some people talk about macular degeneration.
Right.
But I can't read. I can't, But in terms of driving, I can still kind of see things.
Right.
Well, the other example, I used to love to play basketball. Well, I can't catch a pass coming from the left.
I see.
From the right at all. I mean, I have no depth of field.
Okay.
But so what I'm worried. So if I'm trying to read, I cannot read anything. So I'm reading all off of my left eye. So I'm very concerned about that left eye.
Yeah, which is why you'd actually be an individual who would benefit a lot from a drug that would stop the progression of the disease, right? So a lot of patients who have already progressed quite a bit, wouldn't necessarily benefit from. I mean, the disease won't get any worse for them, but if they've already lost a significant amount of vision, then maybe stopping disease progression won't really do much for them. But for individuals like yourself or a lot younger patients who are very early in the disease, it would
Okay.
it would really help a lot. So we're really hoping that this drug works out. If not, then there's actually a few other things in the pipeline actually. So there's this is something that I think
Yeah, well, this is a whole nother, 4 years ago there was,
yeah, and
come back and see us in a couple of years.
This all happened in the last 4 years. I mean, the main issue, Stargardt disease is a pretty rare condition, and it's classified as an orphan disease, which aren't, don't benefit from the funding that, let's say, something like cancer or glaucoma. These things are well funded. So recently, a lot of funding has come in through both the NIH and through private foundations. So a lot of really smart people. We're lucky to have a lot of smart people actually in the field working on this particular disease. So,
are you familiar with an organization? I forget the name of it. But it's something like Research Organization to Stop Blindness, and I think
Research to Prevent Blindness.
Yeah,
RTB.
Yeah, they're on Madison Avenue or something over there.
Or you mean Foundation Fighting Blindness or Research?
I forget, I remember their website only has like 3 letters, which is going to say.
It's probably RPB, yeah.
It's like that, yeah, RPB.
It's a foundation that provides grant funding, and we actually have a grant from them.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I worked at Time Magazine. That's what I did until I retired.
Oh, are you an illustrator?
I'm an artist,
yeah.
But there I was in the art department, more doing graphics.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Doing layout, doing design.
Yeah, I remember you said you were an art department. Yeah.
And it was great because other people in there were also artists. Anyhow, one of the guys I met there is now the media. He's the media point person at this RPG. What's it called again?
I think you might be referring to RPB.
RPB, right, RPB. Research to Prevent Blindness.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'll get in touch with him about that. Anyhow, okay.
Yeah. So that's so those are the developments basically from our end and what's going on. So I can have you I can have Sally reach out to you. She's the coordinator. She's very nice.
Okay.
And she can tell you, she can answer any question you might have about the trial. And we're going to continue working on. The research from our end is really just to understand the disease, and we'll keep you updated on what's.
Okay. And then we need to. Your name is Winston.
Yes.
And